Hello again. Now, in this lesson, we have a look into a method which acts very similar to rainfall. It is a sprinkler irrigation. Typically, water is sprayed on top of the crops by impact sprinklers. Commonly, each sprinkler serves a circular area with a diameter of 10 up to 20 meters. We can also have so-called rain guns, which can even wet a diameter up to 100 meters. In the nozzle of a sprinkler, the water leaves under pressure. When the water exits the nozzle, it breaks up into drops into the air. The drops are then thrown into the air and follow a trajectory, falling within a distance from the sprinkler. As each sprinkler serves a larger area, we only need a limited amount of sprinklers to wet the entire field. In addition, in between irrigation turns, some sprinkler systems, including their pipes, can be moved around so that the amount of equipment needed for covering a large area can be rather limited. We call that portable or semi-portable sprinkler systems. However, each time to remove them, they need some labor. But during the spraying itself, during the irrigation, they don't need to move and they don't require labor. A small-scale system is, for instance, with a nearby river or an open water that people use a 4-horsepower motor pump with a flexible hose and a few sprinklers attached to it and can serve a number of hectares. Of course, also permanent sprinkler systems are possible. They require less labor, but are far more expensive investment as we need a lot more pipes and sprinklers, which in a lot of the cases are most of the time not active even. To solve that problem, a lot of modern systems are actually moving during the irrigation. A typical example is the center pivot, or also the reel machine. In this way, the labor requirement is rather limited, and they still make a quite efficient use of the moving sprinkler equipment. Their investment per area is somewhat higher as compared to a portable or a semi-portable system, but it is much lower than a permanent system. For instance, the reel machine is very popular in Belgium and in many other European countries, as it is extremely flexible and can be easily pulled by a tractor from one field to the other. A typical rain gun reel machine costs about 40,000 euro. In the US, quite often, and some other countries, center pivots have a quite long boom which is turning around in circles around the pivot. In this way, about 50 hectares is irrigated by only one center pivot, with a boom of about 400 meters in length. As the fields need to be circular, this method, of course, is only used in places where the land is not too expensive. It is also quite high-tech, requiring a continuous and reliable supply of electricity power. But the very low labor requirements are very good. A center pivot will cost in the order of magnitude of $100,000. And therefore, this amounts to about $2,000 investment per hectare for an irrigation system. We said that sprinkler irrigation is similar to rainfall. There is, however, some difference. Drops from the sprinklers are 0.5 millimeter to 4 millimeters in diameter, while the natural rain is normally always smaller than 0.5 millimeters. So, the drops from a sprinkler are much larger than from natural rain. This means that there is more risk for soil structure, destruction, and damage to the leaves. Often, sprinklers have also two nozzles with different diameters. One is serving the area nearby and the other one is serving at a distance. Nozzles have typically an opening with a diameter of around 2 to 5 millimeter. The pressure inside the sprinkler is about 200 to 350 kilopascal. So, expressed in water column, this corresponds to about 20 to 35 meters. So, in other words, if we try to operate a sprinkler from an overhead reservoir without using a pump, this reservoir needs to be at least 25 meters higher than the sprinklers. In most cases, of course, we will use pumps. They're needed to pressurize the water, and therefore also we have to have a good supply of energy. Rain guns are a special form. They operate under a high pressure of about 400 to 850 kilopascal and can wet a diameter between 50 and 100 meters. The main nozzles for rain guns have a diameter of 20 to 40 millimeters. Main practical conclusion here is that for a good uniformity, the operating pressure needs to be the advised one, neither higher or lower, but the correct one.